YouTube channel. We have a lot of picks to go over today. We'll give to you here on our show. We're going to take a look here at the Thursday night football game, Giants and Eagles. There's also a game from college football, Arkansas State and Appalachian State, and also a lot of football for this weekend. We'll also have a pick for you from the Rays and Dodgers game at 3, which we'll play tomorrow. And we'll let you know who's on our show today. Let's take a look here at our handicappers, who are, as they are right now in the green room. We've got a lot of them here today. Mitch and Damon Sosh will join us in a little bit. Bottom of the hour, we'll get them signed in here. We got Rod Zawacki, upper right-hand corner. He'll be coming in with a pick with his Dolphins cap today. Alan Enos, didn't work out for you, my man, yesterday, but we'll find out what he's got on tap for his pick. Got Chris Ruffalo will co-host with me today. Alex Smart is coming in here with the play for us today, as well as Shane and Mickle here on the drive through. And we go ahead and bring in my co-host, Chris Ruffalo. As Chris, we got a series, right? Dodgers not going to run away with this one. Rays battle and get a lead here on Gonsolin and Dustin May and go on for the victory in Game 2.
Yeah, and I'm one of many that I'm sure is happy that we're not just going to see a sweep here for the Dodgers, just roll over. I'm sure Al probably disagrees with me on this one, but it's you see the guys need to step up at the most, and we always say these guys are professionals. Brandon Lowe with 2 home runs. I think he was on a 6 for 56 slump or something like that going into this one. And I mean, it's just, you think the unthinkable. I mean, it gave the Rays 28 home runs in the playoffs, set a new playoff home run record for Major League Baseball. And I mean, it feels weird considering we think of the Rays as sort of a pitching first team, but yet they just set a record for home run hitting. It's kind of unbelievable, but it's where we are right now, and I'm glad that we have a series again.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely happy to see that we'll have a series. Won't be a sweep. Dodgers won't run away with it, but it kind of sets up pretty good for them when you look down at the Friday and Saturday. Of course, getting in there with Buehler, Urias, and of course Kershaw back in the mix. They will have an off day on Monday, so their pitching lines up. But again, they're going to have to get the job done. Those starters will, of course, and the bats will have to wake up.
No, for sure, and rest assured, I mean, Game 3 is no walk in the park either. I mean, you got Charlie Morton, who's been pretty much lights out for the Rays this postseason. 3-0, ERA under 1. I think he's 5-0 in his career in the postseason with the Rays as well, with an ERA just under 0.7. So, and you got Walker Buehler on the other side, 189 ERA this playoffs. I think runs are going to be at a premium in Game 3, but we'll cover that later on. But I think it's going to be, if you're into pitcher duels, I think Game 3 is going to be for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks that way here, guys. Joined here with Chris Ruffalo here on the drive-thru. A lot of picks to cover here on the show. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we have a big show lined up for you, and we're going to go ahead and welcome into our show Alex Smart. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Alex, how are things going for you today?
Good. Hopefully they're better after midnight too.
Absolutely. Hopefully things go well after tonight. Of course, we'll be looking here at an NFL game. But just your thoughts here on this Rays and Dodgers series tied up at 1. Do you see any edge here betting-wise as we move into Game 3?
I personally felt like the Dodgers are just the better team here. They're a team that can tee off on the Rays, top-tier pitching. And they have top-tier pitching themselves. And, it's interesting how the Rays have sort of produced, but I think that's more of an anomaly than anything. And personally, from my viewpoint anyway, I really believe the Dodgers have the edge here. And for all intents and purposes, I see if somebody wants to make a futures bet here, I feel pretty good about it myself.
Feel very good here with the Dodgers. All right, Alex, we're going to take a look at an NFL contest with you today. Dallas and Washington. It opened up with Dallas favored, but a lot of money here on these Redskins. So we got them at a pick 'em. And has the Cowboys fallen down to the depths of the Washington football team, I should say. The Washington FT now, I guess is what we call them. So how do you see this one?
Well, it's funny how last week I thought, obviously this Dak Prescott injury obviously had some PTSD sort of permeated through the lineup for some reason, and they didn't come back and respond. With all due respect to our veterans and stuff, this was not a Fallujah, accident. I hate to say it that way, but all respect to our veterans, like I said. But these guys got to wake up. This is not the end of the world. This is a professional football team. All the players on this Dallas football team, all of them, all the way through their entire lives, have been stars on their individual teams, their high school teams, their college teams, and here they are. Are they going to allow the embarrassment and the criticism of the press to just continue to just fall apart? This is the NFC East. This is not like this is a shambles of a conference anyway. These guys are 2-4. It's not the end of life. All they have to do is just win this one game, and they're back in this thing. So let's get a grip on it. Let's not go crazy. And these guys, I think, are going to bounce back this week.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I kind of looked at that line myself, and I thought it was a little crazy here with Dallas at a pick. Of course, Andy Dalton in her first game. There's going to be a bounce from that performance. Chris, what's your thoughts on that one?
Well, I mean, I make this joke quite often, but we call it the NFC least for a reason. I mean, this is a division where you could have a 6 or 7 win team winning that division, and it's just the thing with Dallas is that they can win the division, and you look at if they win this game, they could be 2 games up on anyone else in that division, and that could just be the distance that they need to keep for the rest of the way. And with the shambles that the Washington depth charts in, with them not being able to figure out a solid quarterback situation from week to week, this game was on my no-fly zone, but I think Alex is trying to talk me onto the Cowboys here. I mean, I just have little faith in Washington right now, and these are still professionals, and Andy Dalton's still used to be a starting quarterback in the NFL not less than 2 years ago. So I think this is definitely a game that I was leaning towards not touching in the beginning, but I'm starting to sway towards the Cowboys in this one.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. And Alex, what do you think here about the strategy here? Of course, throwing in Dalton, of course, in this dynamic offense, maybe you might want to lean a little bit more on Ezekiel Elliott, run that football a little bit more, see if you can pretty much have ball possession, limit the amount of time your defense is on the field, and then start working Dalton downfield. Maybe just let the run set up the pass. What do you think about that?
I think this is all on Mike McCarthy at this point. We've heard about the criticism he's taking. Now, this is a time this is a new coach for a team that this is America's football team. We'll put it that way. Let's not dice around with little word magic here. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that Mike McCarthy has to stand up. I'm betting he will stand up. I'm betting that he will do what it takes to make this team a winner this week. And I'm not saying, knock half your bankroll on this. I'm saying, take a proper percentage and back down. At least give them the benefit of the doubt. Let the percentages work themselves out. And the percentage says to me that we've got an edge with Dallas.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And of course, Chris, like Alex says, it's early in the season. We've seen slow starts from a lot of teams, right? And it's not. You always hear these talking heads overreact. Oh, there's going to be a 5-win divisional winner this year. We've seen it before where we had teams under 500. I think it was Carolina at one point, Seattle. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Plus, they're going to add another playoff team this year. But I can tell you right now, there's only one playoff team probably coming out of the East.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, side by side, I mean, I'm starting to think about it. I'd rather have the Ezekiel Elliott than any back that Washington's going to throw out. You still have Dallas with, Amari Cooper or CD Lamb, as opposed to any skill receiver that Washington's going to throw out there. I still, like I said, I'm trusting Andy Dalton that he's going to be able to get the ball to these guys more than either Alex Smith or Kyle Allen or whoever Washington's going to throw out there this week. And we always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's going to be the case here. I mean, it's just going to be one foot in front of the other. You're just going to have to take it one step at a time if you're the Dallas Cowboys. And, this is just a roadblock. This is just adversity, fighting within the team or arguing with the new coaching staff. It's a speed bump, but again, these guys are professionals. It's nothing that hasn't been seen before in the NFL. And again, it's going to be a week-to-week thing, but I think Dallas will eventually work itself out.
Yeah, it looks that way. I'm with you guys all there with Dallas working this one out. All right, Alex, you're getting some people in the chat room calling you the beast. You are a beast when it comes to professional betting out there. So why don't you let everybody know what you have over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Am I really a beast, guys?
Well, look at those numbers. They'll tell you. That's all you need to know.
What was I going to say? Okay, so where am I? I've got to get my place here because that actually made me laugh. So what we have here is we have some college football, and we have some NFL this week. I've got a big call tonight on that Giants game, and the Giants, and who are they playing?
Eagles. Eagles.
Man, I'll tell you about those Eagles. Now, but you know what? Do the Eagles have an edge tonight? I'll let you know. And I also have another bet on App State and Arkansas State. Arkansas State, amazing offense, but App State has an amazing defense. Which one comes there on top? It's a side play.
All right, side play there from Alex Marks. So check him out, guys, over at Pig Dog Stream. You can see the numbers there. He's doing very well. You've seen him at the top of leaderboards year after year on the sites out there. And, of course, why not pick up a long-term package, 3-day, 7-day, or 30-day all sports passes from Alex Mark and get on board with a winner here over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, Alex, as always, great having your show. Have a great weekend. Keep those winners going. I like that game, that winner you gave us last week with that 49ers as a home dog there against the Rams.
Well, let's keep it going this week with Dallas.
We sure shall. All right.
Forget about recent spot.
Forget about all that. I'm with you there, buddy. Yeah. All right. Thanks very much. All right. Alex Smart here on the drive-through, back here with Chris Ruffalo. Kind of looking here. We've got guys who always on the chat rooms out there on Sports Chat Place and Pig Dogs. Go ahead and post your comments. We'll put them up there. Are you guys talking about the game, Giants game and the college game tonight? Of course we are. We'll get to that here in just a second. Matter of fact, we got a discussion on that, and we will get to the App State and Arkansas State game as well. So guys, hang in there. We always appreciate all your chats, and I know our man Ryan was asking about that game also. Yes, we are going to get to the Giants game, and we have Jay Book. And what do you think about this? He says he thinks that Miami should trade Fitzmagic to the Dallas Cowboys.
Jeez, everybody's trying to get rid of Andy Dalton, aren't they? Like they're just trying to cast him aside like he's not even there. You know what? It's going to be a Band-Aid trying to cover a bullet wound. That's the way I see it. I mean, yeah, you're just trying to look for an answer for this year. I'm sure Dak Prescott's going to come back, just healthy and hopefully is better than ever next year. But again, it's just you're looking for an answer for this season. I like I said, I think they're interchangeable, Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andy Dalton. I'd personally rather have Andy Dalton. I think just because I think, like I said, he's got more consistent starting experience than I think Ryan Fitzpatrick does. But again, it's apples and oranges, right?
That sure is. All right, so here on the drive-thru, guys, a lot of picks coming here on the show, so be sure to keep tuning in. We'll take you to the top of the hour. Now it's time to look at this Thursday night football game, NFL. We've got the Giants and the Eagles, and right now we've got the Eagles favored 4.5, although fives are creeping up there. Total is low here at 44.5. I've heard a lot of people tout this Eagles team just from other cappers I've been listening to, and they're all bringing up recent how successful the Eagles have been in the past against the Giants. But this Eagles team is much lower than they've been when they've beaten the Giants and dominated the Giants in recent times. I'm always nervous about laying points, asking a bad team to cover. I don't know if we're going to put Philadelphia in that bad team role, but they are injured, and they lost two starters again here in Sanders and Ertz. And how do you see this one, Giants and Eagles?
Well, it's not necessarily just two parts of their offense. There's two giant parts of their offense. I mean, Philly, they relied on Miles Sanders for a lot of their offense. We talked about it this morning. Miles Sanders isn't the guy that's going to get you, like a bunch of like 10-yard gains and 8-yard gains. He's going to give you about 40, 45 yards of just, dink and dunk, runs up the middle, but he'll also give you a 75-yard, scamper downfield. Zach Ertz, on the other hand, he's the safety valve for Carson Wentz, and if you take that away, well, he's I don't know who he's going to. He's got his receivers, but again, this could be another game where Carson Wentz gets pushed around a little bit, even by a Giants defensive front that hasn't been all that great this season. But on the other side, do you have the guts to sort of stomach backing Daniel Jones and what he's done this year? This is what Thursday nights have sort of become in the NFL, and part of me wishes I could do something about it, but unfortunately, I think the obvious part is that I can't. So it's just where we are on Thursday night. We'll look at this game. We got plenty more to look forward to on the weekend as well.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot more to look for. I know Cody Dunbar asked a question for the chat room for us out here. I will probably, if anything, I'd lean more with the points here with the Giants Again, I just think a lot. If you look at the Giants' defense, look at the past 3 games, they have at least played a little better, been a little bit more competitive. And of course, with the Eagles, I mean, that game against Cincinnati really stands out to me. That was just brutal looking.
No, for sure. I mean, for me, I think the key, or at least for a free play, is going to be looking at the first half under. I think we're going to see a lot of just feeling each other out. I think there's going to be a lot of running the ball. I think this is just going to be a game that starts out slow, maybe picks up as the game goes on in the second half. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe a 10-3 game going into the half, or 10-6 or something along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely could be that way. All right, guys, here on the drive-thru, I'm Tony T, joined by Chris Ruffalo. We're going to take you up to the top of the hour. And now, well, it's time to continue the show, and we're going to welcome into the drive-thru our buddy Shane Mickle. And we're getting him in right now. And Shane, how are things going out there up in the Northwest? In the North, I should say.
Well,
Great North.
It's been sleet and rain all day here today, so weather's not improving, but otherwise everything's going well.
Very good, very good. I know you got a big one here looking up at Michigan, Minnesota. Matter of fact, Mitch is going to cover that game, so stay tuned toward the bottom of the hour here when we have Mitch on. We'll look at that Michigan, Minnesota game. But, man, that's a lot of excitement brewing for that one out there.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of buzz around the Gophers program this year, and it's going to be a big test early to see if all the buzz is they can live up to the buzz.
That's right. We'll see if it can. All right, we're going to take a look here at UFC 254. I know you're going to have a free pick from that one. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this card in Fight Island in UAB? It's going to be really early here for the prelims, 10:15 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it starts really early. It's a loaded card with all kinds of talent. Of course, the main event features Khabib, and I think that's why they moved it earlier, was because Khabib's over from Russia, and this is the way everyone else can watch it. Because when the fights start at 10 o'clock, they're fighting at 5 a.m. on Fight Island, so this should help them out a little bit, starting it earlier, even if it's not going great going against college football midday games.
Absolutely. Of course, we're looking here at you're going to be looking at the Whitaker fight, but the main event, we've got Khabib and Justin Gaethje. How do you see this one? Khabib a big favorite.
Yeah, there's not much value, but I don't know any way that you bet against Khabib. I mean, once he gets you down to the mat, the fight's over. Gaethje does stop, I think, about 81% of the takedown attempts, but all it's going to take is one time around for Khabib to get it to the ground, and I mean, he just dominates. Might not be the most exciting style of fighting, but he's pretty dominant when he gets down on the floor.
Chris, I know you're a big fan of the UFC. Any words here on this card coming up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I still have to look at the rest of the card. I'm going to probably have a couple premium plays on it, but for the main event, I wouldn't be so quick to say that Khabib's a lock in this situation. I mean, if there's anybody that I think can sort of stop that undefeated run, it's Gaethje. I mean, he tends to play more to Khabib's disadvantages here. I mean, he puts a lot of pressure on the front foot. He goes after guys, and that doesn't allow Khabib to sort of come in and shoot and pull out his wrestling and take guys to the mat and then push them up along the fence. And Gaethje, is also going to wear guys down with his leg kicks. I mean, we saw it against Tony Ferguson, where Tony Ferguson could barely walk after that fight. I mean, the only reason that Ferguson didn't, that fight went to a decision was because Tony Ferguson's got a chin made of steel. And I mean, there were multiple times in that fight where I was like, how is this guy still going? How does the referee not stop the fight? But that's just the fighter that Ferguson is. And I think Gaethje, like I said, I think he's got as good of a shot as anybody has in the past, or has, well, apparently this is Khabib's last couple go-arounds, but I think he's got as good of a chance as anyone to take the belt off of Khabib.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo here joining us here as co-host today on the drive-thru. All right, Shane, you're going to be looking at this co-main event, Jared Cannonier and Robert Whitaker, pretty close in the lines in this middleweight bout from Fight Island. How do you see it? Yeah,
this is a really interesting fight. It'll be interesting no matter who wins this fight, what they do with them. Last weekend, they said that it was the next person got the belt. I think if Cannonier wins this fight, he probably gets a shot to go against Adesanya. But with Whitaker, if he wins, he just fought Adesanya 2 fights ago. They might not give him the shot, but I think Whitaker is going to put on a clinic here and really dominate this fight. One of the one of the big things that people forget is Whitaker's only 29 years old. He's been in the UFC so long. People forget like how actual powerful he is. He really hasn't lost a step, and he's still definitely in his prime. And the one big knock, Cannonier does have power in his hands, but some fights he really just doesn't show up with the power in his hand, enough power. It's battle. This has got fight of the night written all over it. But I think you got to take I think I saw -110, -115, maybe even plus money with Whitaker.
All right, Shane, go ahead and take Robert Whitaker in the co-main event in UFC from Fight Island. Chris, are you familiar with these fighters? I know that there are so many fighters out there. I know some of the fans out there or some of the bettors out there like to kind of just follow a few of them out there just so they have a good read. But any thoughts on the co-main event?
No, I think Shane's absolutely right. This is a middleweight title eliminator right here. I mean, as far as Whitaker goes, I mean, I think he'd still have a decent argument at getting the title fight against Adesanya next time out. The thing about this one though is you look at Whitaker and Cannonier. The thing is that they both fight guys that are much taller than they are within that division. I mean, Cannonier's 5'11", Whitaker's 6 foot. I mean, look at Adesanya. He's 6'4" with an 80-inch reach advantage. Like I'm not about to discard Whitaker or anything like that, but it's not often that you're going to find a guy built like Cannonier who's 5'11" with a 77.5-inch reach. So that's going to be a little tough for Whitaker to overcome. And like Shane said, Cannonier's got a lot of power in his hands. Whitaker does have more experience. I think that could potentially play into it. I still have to dig into this a little bit further, but I'm gonna say that if you're going to back Cannonier, you got to probably go inside the distance at plus 150. Or if you're going to back Whitaker, you can either take the fight to go the distance at plus 120, or I'd even go Whitaker by decision at plus 185.
All right, Shane, we got Volkov and we've got Harris still on the main card, Cowboy Oliveira and Rakhmonov as well. So any angles there you're going to be looking at in these fights?
Yeah, still breaking down a lot of the other main event cards. I will for sure. I'm playing that Wall Harris fight. Really like that fight. But overall, like even if you're not, I mean, I guess but even if you're not looking to bet on these fights, this is gonna be a great card to watch with a lot of really good fights. They shouldn't be really any boring, where they just stand and dance around the outside of the octagon for 5 minutes. It's gonna be loaded card top to bottom.
All right, that's Shane Mickle joining us here on the drive-through. Of course, Shane, we're going to look for your picks, UFC picks for Fight Night, for Fight Island on Saturday. And, of course, there's college football going on, and we're at a check of the records here. You're having a very good season. Why don't you let everybody know what's going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, I'm gonna run a $39.95 3-day pass. That'll include every one of my picks starting tomorrow. I might ready to get on Saturday to get Monday, but if you want the most picks, get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, get NFL, college football, MLB. I might have an English Premier League play in there too, and UFC. So that'll be the best bang for your buck.
All right, guys, check him out. Shane Mickle over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of his long-term passes, 3-day. He'll have a 3-day on sale, or if you'd like to extend that, you can get a 7 or a 3-day all sports pass. You can see he's well-rounded. A lot of college football. He'll have your UFC covered and more, as well as the EPL, English Premier Soccer, back in play after international breaks. All right, Shane, as always, great having you on the show. Have a great week, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good weekend, guys.
All right, everybody. Shane Mickle here on the drive-through. All right, guys, and we take it to the top of the hour. A lot more picks coming, and people have been asking about those two that college football game. We got the NFL game covered. We're going to get to the college football game in just a second. Just a reminder, at the end of the show, we're going to recap all the picks. So we'll recap the picks, and we'll take our time with it so you guys can get them all down. So if you come in during the show, don't forget, hang on to the end of the show because I'm going to do a whole rundown, and we'll have a big old graph of all the plays, and we'll go over them individually for you. All right, we'll continue here with Chris Riffle, my co-host for today. All right, Chris, we're going to take a look at this college football game. We're going into the sun, and we're going to tighten our belts as Arkansas State and App State are going to get at it here. We see, of course, App State favored 13.5. Total sits here 69.5 going up to set. What a line move this has been. Opened up at 63.5 the total, and even App State opened up as a 10.5. So we've seen heavy line movement here as we're about an hour from kickoff. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I think a lot of that line movement, at least in the totals, going towards how porous the Red Wolves defense has been this year in Arkansas State. They've allowed I think it's almost 40 points per game this year on defense. And Appalachian State, more of a defensive team, but they still put up 35 on Charlotte, and they still beat up on, I believe it was Campbell they beat up on last time. And I still think that this is going to be a defensive battle. I mean, I think Arkansas State's going to tighten up a little bit. I still see both teams maybe get into the high 20s, low 30s, but I don't see this one breaking the 69.5. I was a little bit higher on the over when it was around 63, 64, even up to 66, but now it's 69.5. I think I'm leaning towards the under. I think I'm also leaning towards Arkansas State to score first for a prop at plus 125. Third in the country in first quarter scoring at 12.2 points per game. So I think if Arkansas State wants to send a message, I think they come out flying early and catch App State on their heels a little bit.
Yeah, but I think so too here. And I can't argue the overplay. I mean, it's moved. It's a big 7-point move. So if you're going to like the over, you better go light because you could have had 63 earlier in the week. So you got to be careful there when you see those 7-point moves in totals, Chris.
Oh, absolutely, and I think it's for good reason. This total could genuinely go either way. I mean, you could have App State lock up Arkansas State, or we could have a game like the Georgia State game where it's like 52-45 by the end of it, and that total's been blown out of the water. So it's definitely one to watch. That's for sure.
I'm telling you, a lot of scoring this year in the Sun Belt. I mean, lots of it. If you go back and look at the teams like Georgia State, and even Georgia Southern could put points up. The one team that hasn't, and the team we expected to do it, has been Louisiana, formerly known as Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah, and that's been partially due to their core, their three-headed monster in the backfield being injured. But it goes back to what we saw last season. I mean, we expected the App State Louisiana game to blow offensive Sun Belt records, and they combined for 24 points. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like you learn to expect the unexpected with the Sun Belt. We can expect that Georgia State's going to give up a lot of points. They're going to score a lot of points this year. In Louisiana, you kind of just got to take it as it comes and just go week to week with them, I think, and see who they're playing. But for sure, I think the Cajuns have been one of the more frustrating teams to back for much of the season.
All right, he's Chris Ruffalo. I'm Tony T here as we continue on the drive through bottom of the hour. It's time to continue on, and let's welcome to the show El Ninos. You'll find him over at Pig Dog Spring, where he's enjoying a pretty good NFL season this year. And of course, we're going with a soccer shirt today, El?
No, this is a basketball shirt.
Okay.
Just keeping the guns concealed today. Celebrating Panathinaikos' big win as they were 5-point dogs coming into this game. I tried to hint at it in the morning chat. I don't know if anyone caught it, but this is the team. This is the team I root for. So go Panathinaikos.
All right. Well, of course, you obviously got off the subject at hand here. We wanted to find out what happened to the Dodgers yesterday as they fell to the Rays. We're really concerned about Gonzalez there. And, of course, Dustin May was the one that got lit up a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think that's what they meant when they told May to be like Kershaw. But, I'm just kidding. He's a good pitcher. Obviously, he's already had some playoff struggles, much like Kershaw. But, I think he'll get it sorted out. As I said, he's a good pitcher. He couldn't quite find his movement on that outing, and he really got hit hard. And I think he'll work on it and come back stronger and better next time.
That's right. Looks like it's happening. And your thoughts here, Chris, when we looked at game 2 of that Dodger Rays? I think we covered that a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. But you know what? It was just one of those things where I was a little bit surprised I had the Dodgers to win. I'm not going to lie, and call it a square play if you want. But I thought that just the offense would carry over. I wasn't as high on Blake Snell. I thought maybe the Dodgers would carry their offense over, and it's just that the Rays got the better of game 2. And I think that like I said, we got a series now, and I think with the day off, everybody's going to sort of have their heads back and focus. They're going to be ready to go for another 3-game set, and we're going to see where we stand after this one.
That's right. All right, Al, you got to play for us for game number 3. You've been hard at work trying to figure out a way to get this a pick for us here. You got game 3 tomorrow, and what do you got for us?
Yeah, so May hasn't been the only pitcher getting hit in this series. We saw Snell have a great outing, but other than that, we've seen some of these guys get hit pretty hard. And this one, we got Bueller and Morton. Both have been pretty good. Morton got off to a pretty rough start to his season, giving up 6 runs to the Blue Jays in just 4 innings. But his numbers were really a lot better after that. And he's done great lately in the playoffs, and I expect him to come out strong. And Bueller's been looking very good too lately. So I expect a strong start from both of these starters. I'm going to go under in the first 5 innings.
So you're gonna bet the pitching here in the first 5 innings here as Bueller going up to the hill. Let's see if the blisters don't come back, or if he can go a little bit more than 5. Although he did have a pretty good start last time. Chris, your thoughts here on this early look here at Game 3, Morton and Bueller. Are you looking here at pitching, maybe unders? Which way you should head out here as we're just kind of giving it a first look right now?
Yeah, first look right now. I mean, I would stretch that under to the full game. I mean, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game regardless. It's like I kind of touched on earlier. I think Morton's 5-0 with a sub-1 ERA in his postseason career with the Rays. Walker Bueller. What more can you say? Outside of the blisters, he's pitched fantastic in the postseason. I just find it kind of fitting, that Morton's last appearance against the Dodgers was when he recorded that final out in 2017 for Houston to win the World Series. So a little bit of full circle coming around, but again, I think I think we got a tight game coming into this one. Again, I think pitchers rule the day here.
All right, so Chris Rulo says pitchers rule the day. All right, Al, we're going to keep you here for a discussion. We've got EPL in action tomorrow, but before we do that, we see you over at Pig Dogs Premium having a pretty good NFL season. What do you have going on here at Pig Dogs Premium?
I got a little 3-pack, got 2 sides and total in football. Also got my Thursday night football play going off after that. So yeah, that one's included in that 3-pack. But yeah, a lot of football going on today. Just 2 games, but 3 plays on them, and got a football play ready for tomorrow as well, and some NFL plays coming out soon.
All right, guys, so check out Al Ninos over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of those is a long-term package. You got a 7-day or 30-day all sports pass now available as we're now into football season. Of course, we've got the Big Ten and Mountain West in a couple of weeks. We'll have the Pac-12 and MAC in, so there'll be a good time to pick up one of those 30-day passes from Al Ninos over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, we're going to continue. Keep Al here, as you know, right now we've been doing some soccer discussion, but I've noticed that the EPL gets back tomorrow as we got Aston Villa and Leeds first look here as it starts. It goes off tomorrow. So Al, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it should be a pretty good game. So just trying to pull some of these numbers up here. Yeah, so both these teams, the season just started. Leeds is 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. And Villa's had a much better season, still undefeated with their 4 wins. So I think they come out strong. But sorry, I am looking out for the lines for the game. Sorry, do you have them, Chris?
I'm seeing.
There you go. So Villa is a plus 131 on the money line. I think that's a pretty good play. Yeah, I would go there. If you want to put a little bit on the pick'em, you can lay a little bit juice to get a little insurance on the draw. But I think the better value is on Aston Villa at plus 131.
Chris, how do you see this one?
Yeah, the thing for me is I think Aston Villa is trying to get a nosebleed from not used to being this high up in the Premier League table. I mean, it's a team that was close to getting relegated last year, and now they're all of a sudden, thanks to Jack Grealish, who's been a revelation for Villa this year. I mean, they're sitting in second. They're a game in hand, 1 point behind my Everton squad. And, I think the thing with Leeds is that, this is a team that won the championship last year. They came up, and they're not one of those lower division teams that's coming up and, is just happy to be there. These guys are there to compete. They're there to win. They just took the defending champion Liverpool to a 3-3 draw to start the year. So, These are a bunch of guys for Leeds that aren't going to be scared of the moment, and I think that we might see Villa to take their first stumble of the year. I'm going to take the under 2.5 goals as a main play. I'm personally looking more towards the draw at plus 255 and the correct score of 1-1 at plus 650.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo here on the drive-thru with his EPL tomorrow at will be going off here with Austin Villa and Leeds. All right, Al, as always, great having your show. Have yourself a great night and weekend, and we will talk with you next week.
All right, we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend, guys. Enjoy all your football games.
All right, everybody. Al Nino's here on the drive through. Of course, a little bit more EPL coverage tomorrow as Goran Kuchar joins us. And him and we'll have him on board tomorrow with a lot of EPL action. Of course, Chris will have some plays. We get into a big weekend of coverage there. All right, continue here with the drive through. Now it's Chris Ruffalo's turn to give us his play as we're going to be taking a look here at this Big Ten matchup. As Maryland will be on the road here facing the Northwestern Wildcats. And we're seeing Northwestern favored here. I'm going to just give you an updated line here. We saw it earlier here at 11 Northwestern favored, but I will make sure we get that updated. But of course, we talked about the Big Ten is back in action, and this will be a game played a little later at night, if I'm not mistaken, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and it's Northwestern 11-point favorites here. Chris, total sits about 54.5.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Northwestern had done. This is a team that was I believe a 12-win team a couple years ago. And all of a sudden, they took a massive step back under Pat Fitzgerald. They couldn't get anything going last year. It was definitely one of the more disappointing, year-to-year progressions I think I'd seen since I started watching college football. On the other hand, Maryland, head coach Mike Locksley referred to it as year zero because this is a rebuild for that Maryland program. And I mean, you look at what the Terrapins have done. They're coming off a 3-9 season of their own, and they had 2020 start with Josh Jackson opting out as a transfer from last year. But the thing is that Maryland's bringing in the younger Tagovailoa quarterback. Tua's little brother, Taulia. I think he's going to be a big part of that Maryland offense. And while I've been a fan of Pat Fitzgerald as a coach, especially as an underdog, 16-9-1 against the spread. We're not seeing him in that spot here. The Northwestern's been brutal as a favorite dating back a couple of years now. 0-8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games, a favorite. 0-7-1 in their last 8 games, the favorite at home. I'm not laying 11 points just because Northwestern's at home here. I think they did bring in a solid quarterback to take over for Clayton Thorson, but I still think that's too many points. I'm going to take the points with Maryland in this spot.
All right, Chris Ruffalo says go ahead and take the points here with Maryland here at the big plus 11 here. Of course, Maryland, kind of a team that can compete there against the middling teams of the Big Ten, but when they step up, man, it's been kind of rough for them.
Well, I mean, look at what Maryland did last year. I'm just trying to pull up their schedule, but I believe they routed someone they hung 73 points on somebody last year to start the year, and I mean, it's the perils of Big Ten football. I mean, if you give me 1 second here, sorry for the delay. But that's right, they hung 63 on Syracuse at home. They hung 79 on Howard, but again, Howard's not saying very much. But they finished the year with 7 straight losses. They were a 3-2 team. I was still looking that they could contend for something in the Big Ten, and then all of a sudden they decided to fall off a cliff and give up 30+ points left and right, and then the offense couldn't get going either. So hopefully, having Taulia Tagovailoa coming in, a little bit of that Alabama pedigree just from being involved with Tua and stuff like that. I'm just hoping it maybe pays dividends for Maryland because I think Mike Locksley's a heck of a coach as well. I think there's bigger and better things from Maryland coming in the future. I think Tagovailoa is going to be a big part of that offense for a few years to come.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo says go ahead and take Maryland and that plus 11 against Northwestern. All right, Chris, as we look over at Pick Dogs Premium, what do you have going on up there?
So I still have my Thursday 3-pack up there. I got the side and the total in the NFL game tonight. And I got my top play in the Arkansas State-App State football game as well, or for $29.95. And also, guys, look, like we say all the time, look into those longer-term packages, especially the 3 days starting tomorrow. I'm going to have my college football locked in. You're going to get a couple days, full slates worth of football coverage, as well as the Monday night games. We're going to have some baseball thrown in there. I'm going to toss some UFC and some EPL soccer in there. Who knows? We're going to have a ton of football coverage, and we're going to have a ton of stuff going on. That's
right, guys. So check out Chris Ruffalo over at Pick Dogs Premium. Pick up one of those long-term packages, 7-day or 3-day, all sports pass. A lot of coverage there from Chris. He talked about, we got still some baseball. We got college football, NFL, UFC. Check them out over at Pick Dogs Premium. All right, we'll continue here on the drive-thru, guys. Still a lot more picks coming. We got some NFL and more. But let's take a look here, Chris. This Baylor and Texas game. This went off at 3:30 Eastern time. ESPN televising. Texas about a 9-point favorite. Totals here at 61. I'm always nervous when I see big favorites. First thing I look at is their defense, because you got to hold teams. If you're going to cover if you're going to try to cover 9-point spreads, you better make sure you can keep these other teams from scoring. But they're facing Baylor here and laying a big number.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing is that Texas, for whatever reason, they just can't seem to get out of their own way. I mean, you look at what they've got. Sam Ellinger at quarterback. And, Mitch and I always talk about it, especially Mitch will always say it. He was born to be a Texas quarterback, and it just, the results haven't panned out. And whether or not you think of that of Ellinger or Tom Herman as a head coach, who just hasn't been able to win the big games, the results just haven't been there. And you look at what happened against Oklahoma. Texas was right there. They had a chance to win, and they just couldn't come up with it. You lose outright to TCU at home. Steamrolling UTEP to start the year and allowing 56 points in an overtime win against Texas Tech. That's not going to do a whole lot of good for you. This Baylor team is still really talented. They got Charlie Brewer at quarterback. They've still got some solid receivers. Got a defensive-minded head coach in Dave Aranda, who did a pretty good job with LSU last year. I'm leaning towards Baylor in the points right now, maybe even a money line play on Baylor, because I am not sold on this Texas team at all.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to take Texas here. Again, we talked with Texas at length here before in the show about the defense, and it's really tough, a big tough lay there, and I'm with you there with the points. All right, continue here on the drive-thru. Tony T joined by Chris Ruffalo. Don't forget our show, drive-thru, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And, of course, you can catch Chris and as well as Mitch and Company over on in the morning show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. All right, let's continue on. More picks coming. We're going to take a look at some NFL right now, and welcome to the show Rod Zawacki. He'll find him in the morning show. Rod, how are you doing today?
Having a great day. It's been good. Soccer treated me good this morning, so I can't complain.
All right, that's who I always like hearing Rod when he's up. All right, not down, but good job there with the soccer. And what's your thoughts here? I know you like the Dodgers in this World Series. Has anything changed your mind on it? It's just we knew Gonzalez was the one risky pitcher they were going to throw in this series.
Yeah, exactly. That was but I thought maybe the bats could have a chance, and after Snell got out of the game, Dodgers definitely had their chances to get back into that game. So Snell pitched a good game and won one, and now we got a new series. And I still like the Dodgers over the long run.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to go against them here. Their bats can come up, and the pitching pretty much lines up for them. All right, Rod, you're going to be taking a look here at some NFL as we've got the Lions and Falcons going at it, and I know this line has been fluctuating a little bit between these two teams. Of course, you've got Ryan for the Falcons, Stafford for Atlanta. It looks like now it's kind of settling in with Atlanta laying 2, anywhere from 2.5 to 2. I do see a 1 in some places. So again, it's early in the week, guys. You want to do your shopping, but how do you see this one?
For me in this matchup here, the Falcons, after firing their coach, they looked really good last week, playing Minnesota, scoring 10 points in each quarter, and didn't even give Minnesota a sniff. They looked real good. First game under their new coach. And Detroit, for me, Detroit got a win last week as well against the lonely Jaguars. They're coming here against Atlanta, and Atlanta's record definitely is a little bit don't honor out. They're 1-5. They're better than that record for sure. For me, I'm looking at this game here, and you look. The Falcons are 5-0 ATS versus a team with a losing record. Their last 5. The Falcons have the 4th best. And definitely, I think Gurley's going to have a big offense against Detroit. The Falcons are 5-0 ATS against Detroit. And look, are 12 ATS at 6 teams. They've definitely been a moneymaker to fade Detroit. So take Atlanta here. -2, -2.5. I like Atlanta in this spot.
All right, Rod Zawacki says take Atlanta -2. Chris, your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I was looking towards Atlanta to start. I mean, 'cause I think they're probably, like Rod said, they are a better team than a 1-5 record would suggest. The thing for me that a little bit scares me is that the Falcons, also the worst passing defense in the league, are allowing 335 yards per game. Gave up an NFL leading 29 passes over 20 yards. I think you might see some running from Detroit to set up play action and some deep balls. So that's the only thing that scares me about Atlanta. But again, I can't argue with the logic behind it. I'm leaning more towards the over here. I think it's set at 56, I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony.
Yeah, the number here. Let's go back to the total here. We're looking at let's see, total on
55.
55.
56.
Yeah, they haven't seen.
I'm down 56. I think I see.
Yeah, so 55 or 56. I had this one around 30-27. Regardless of who wins this game, I think this is a higher scoring game. So I'm leaning towards the over personally myself. But again, I can't fault the logic for laying the points with Atlanta here.
Yeah, we got 55 and 154 in some places, so to keep an eye on that total. Yeah, it looks like two high-flying offenses here could happen. Of course, it's the defenses you always got to worry about. Of course, Detroit's a team that's been hit with injuries, the receiver position, and in the secondary, and of course, Matt Patricia seems to be skewered almost every week.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think after they lose this game, he'll be back in the hot seat. He may have won against the Jags, but after this week, I think they're going to get rocked. And he'll be right back into the fire.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on this, on the Lions, Chris, looking at Lions and Jags performance there with Swift on the ground?
No, definitely DeAndre Swift is that's kind of the reason why they took him in the draft. I mean, I could tell you from watching him at his time with Georgia, I mean, he's a dynamic back. He's fantastic. He's always going to be a speed time that he takes the field, and anytime he's going to be a big game threat. I don't know if that speaks more towards Jacksonville not being able to stop him, but again, that's 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. That doesn't just happen. I think I think he's very good. And again, I think he's going to be a big reason, along with Adrian Peterson, to help set up a running game and trying to set up a play action game for this week against Atlanta. And I think that's just maybe the direction that the Lions offense is going to shift going forward.
All right. Rod, as we approach the top of the hour, we'll see you over at Pig Dogs Premium. What do you have going up there tonight?
I've still got a selection in both football games going tonight. Or grab yourself a 3-day because I could only come up with 2. I couldn't put anything into some sort of package. So you grab a 3-day. You'll get tonight's selections, Friday's selections. You'll get Saturday's college football. And I'll probably put in Sunday's NFL early, so you almost get 4 days for the price of 3 if you grab a 3-day now.
All right, so pick up Rod's 3-day over at Pig Dogs Premium. You can also offer available out there a 7-day and a 30-day pass. We're right into football season now, guys, so be sure to get on board with Rod Zawacki. And all right, Rod, as always, great having your show. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow, but more importantly, we'll be listening to you tomorrow morning on the morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
You guys have yourself a good night, and as always, tune in. Probably a prop play.
All right, tune in at the end of the show. Rod's Birdcage play will be posted as we close the show. All right, Rod, have a good night. All right, back here with Chris here on the drive-thru. Chris, we're going to take a look at this college football game. Big 12 action. It's Iowa State and Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State here favored 3.5. Total sits at 52. Kind of an interesting one here.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this, these are two teams that I had to do a little bit of a double take when I saw the rankings. I saw Oklahoma State, it's 6th overall, or I believe number 6 in the country, or at least somewhere up there. And Iowa State sitting at 18, maybe able to shake off that opening week loss to Louisiana. It just for whatever reason, this just feels like it's going to be a tight game throughout. I even give Iowa State a little bit of an edge here. The underdogs 5-0 against the spread in their last 5. I think we're seeing it at we're seeing 3.5. I think if you can get it at 3.5, I think the hook's going to be key here. I think this is a field goal game either way. So I'm personally leaning towards Iowa State and the points in this one.
Yeah, I can't argue that one. I looked at that Iowa State here in an underdog role. That's the one I like. All right, guys, this is Drive-Thru. We're here every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We will continue on. A lot more picks coming up on the show. Let's go ahead and welcome to the show Damian Sosh. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Damian, how are things going for today?
Things are going great, Tony. Glad to be here.
All right. Of course, we're joined with Damian Sosh. And, of course, I'll get your thoughts here on this World Series here, both 1-1. How do you see it heading down to Game 3?
I was on the Dodgers yesterday on the run line. I had them Game 1 run line and yesterday on the run line. Obviously, things didn't pan out for me. I think the Dodgers had their opportunities. Just top to bottom, I just think this Dodgers team is a better team. The hitting, they just have better hitting, better pitching. By the time it's all said and done, I think the Dodgers are going to be the World Series champions. But the Hampa's been tough, but I definitely lean the Dodgers in this series.
All right, Damon says he's going to lean the Dodgers. All right, Damon, you're going to be taking a look here at BYU and Texas State. The Roadrunners are going to be going into BYU. We saw Troy go in there and get crushed. And this one opened 30 down to 28.5. BYU favored. Total sits here at 60.5.
Yeah, this line is dropping here, but I still like BYU. I'm confident they cover this big number. I look at this Texas State team. They're 1-5, but they played gutty this year. They have played tough. I just think this is a really tough spot for Texas State. It's a sandwich game for them as they're going to be stepping out of conference. We know BYU is definitely a tough place to play. I'm concerned with how up this Texas State team is going to be for this game. Because not only is it out of conference, as I mentioned, it's also going to be their 5th straight road game and 3rd consecutive road game. BYU, for the first time all year, they're going to have some fans in the stands, about 6,000 people. That'll probably give a little bit of extra energy here to the home team. BYU, they're undefeated, potential Heisman candidate here in quarterback Zach Wilson. They're coming off that nice road win against Houston. And BYU, they have a legitimate shot at making the college football playoffs. But the remaining schedule after Texas State, Western Kentucky, Boise State, North Alabama, and San Diego State. So BYU not only needs to win, they need to make statements when they win. They need to just crush teams. I think the last home game was against UTSA, sputtered a little bit. I don't see that same thing happening Saturday night. I think they dominate from beginning to end, and I like them laying the big number in this one.
Yeah, can't argue that. The reasons for them to run up the score, obviously, of course, now we're going to start seeing the Mountain West come in. Boise State's got a tough tussle to start off, and we'll have a pick on that later in the show. But, Chris, David makes a point here where a team like BYU, they got to start running it up now because, there's going to be some teams looking for that New Year's Day bowl spot.
Absolutely. Took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, these have to be convincing wins for BYU the rest of the way. I mean, a 7-point, if you said this later on in the season that they had a 7-point win over BYU had a 7-point win over UTSA, that wouldn't look very good to a playoff committee. But if you're going to go down the stretch and pick up some key wins here, especially a road win against a pretty good, from what it looks like, a pretty good Boise State team, that's going to be big for BYU going down the stretch. And it's like Damian said, Zach Wilson's turned himself into a Heisman contender as well. This BYU team is definitely going to be one to watch down the stretch. But, you also look at common opponents as well as Texas State, just playing their 5th straight road game. Yes, you beat ULM, but again, who hasn't this season? You look at Boston College, narrow 3-point loss there. But then also both teams have played Troy. And, Tony, like you mentioned, BYU crushed Troy. I think it was 48-7. And then, Texas State lost to Troy on the road by 20. So I'm not sure how high I'm going to be on this Texas State team, going to be big, like going up for this game. But, give them a shot for trying. But I still think BYU wins this one very comfortably, covering the number in the process.
Yeah, Chris says here to go ahead and take BYU laying the numbers. All right, Damian, as we approach the top of the hour, I know you've performed very well over at Pig Dogs Premium. And, of course, we got some of the schedule here for BYU, original schedule. It's a lot different than it is now. They had played they were looking here at Utah, Michigan State, Minnesota, Utah State, Missouri. Of course, that changed here, obviously, with this COVID situation.
Yeah, it's a shame. Really, I guess BYU being an independent anyway, they really didn't have a conference schedule. But or so many teams now there's no out of conference games. It's a shame because we missed out on a lot of good matchups. Notre Dame, Wisconsin. There's tons of games that with the COVID situation, we unfortunately missed out on.
Yeah, a lot of missed opportunities there for teams like BYU, but we'll see how it plays out as we get to the regular end of the season. All right, Damon, as I approach the top of the hour, what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
I still have a play up there on tonight's NFL game and total in tonight's college football game. Definitely looking forward to this weekend slate. Friday, starting college football, big Saturday slate, probably 5 games on Saturday. So, pick yourself up a 3-day plan, a 7-day plan, because I'm looking forward to this weekend's games. Definitely some things to watch.
That's right, guys. So just pick them up over at Pig Dogs Premium. Damon Sasha, over 450 units documented at Pig Dogs Premium. Why not get one of his long-term packages? We got 7-day pass up there, a 30-day pass. We're into football now. It's a good time to get on board with Damon Sasha over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, Damon, as always, great having your show. Have a great weekend, and we will talk with you next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, everybody. Damon Sasha here on the drive-through. All right, guys, still a lot more picks coming up. Mitch's segment will be following up shortly. But first, let's talk about this Browns and Bengals game. Chris, this is a rematch of an early played game. A lot of yardage in that one. But now Cleveland opened 4.5, but now it's down to -3. Total sits at 50.5. There may be some people really eyeing this Cleveland team at just a field goal.
Well, I'll tell you, I think I have to plug my nose for this game because it was just one of those things where I had the Browns last week and got absolutely shellacked. And the thing about Cleveland is that I kind of should have seen it coming. I know I mentioned it. I think they had a shot against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh simply owned them, and that didn't change. The thing about Cincinnati, though, we keep talking about is that how many shots can Joe Burrow really take? And again, he got solid pass rusher and Myles Garrett coming after him this week. It's kind of the drawback of playing in the AFC North and the I don't want to say buyer's remorse. I'm trying to think of the correct wording here for it, but Joe Burrow, it's congratulations, you get to go first overall. Bad news is you get to play in the NFC North with a bunch of scary defensive lines, and Cincinnati, they're going to take their lumps this year. I think they're going to be a little bit better than what we saw last year, but they're still going to be a top 10 team in the draft. I'm not trying to lay a field goal with Cleveland on the road either. This is a hard game to call. I'm probably going to go with the over. I think we see some offense in this one, but again, it's not a game I'm rushing to really bet.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that too with the over in that one between Detroit. Sorry, not Detroit. I know I thought of over that one as well with Cleveland and Cincinnati. All right, continuing here on the drive-through, guys. Still a lot more picks coming up, and I want to feed you this question. We got a question here for you, Chris, from Richard Sarvaya in the chat room. We'll put it up here for everyone to see. Which conference do you think is the easiest to bet? My favorite conference to bet is Conference USA. At least is Pac-12.
Oh man, I mean, I think for me my favorite one to bet this year so far has been the Big 12. I think it's just been, we've seen a lot of upsets. We've just seen everything sort of be flipped upside down, and I think the Big 12 was the conference that had the most overreaction. I mean, you expected Oklahoma to do big things, and they stumbled early. You didn't expect much from Kansas State. They won. They beat 2 teams in spots as outright as underdogs. Texas came in with a high ranking. They lost outright. I think my least favorite right now is probably the SEC, just because, again, you have your Alabamas who are going to be heavily favored. You have your other teams like your Georgias, and other than that, the middle of the road teams and even the lesser teams, it kind of jumbles up, and it's hard to really sort of get a feel for it. So for me, I'd say the SEC is probably my least favorite.
All right, that's Chris Rivolo answering a question here from our chat room, Richard Saraiva. Thank you very much for that question, Ned. So we continue here on the drive-through. All right, guys, it's time to welcome to the show Mitch. You'll hear him in the morning, on the morning show. Mitch, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I've been up since, long before the crack of dawn doing these college football videos for this weekend. I've wrapped them all up, and, from Alabama, Tennessee to Rice, Middle Tennessee, we've got them all covered.
All right, you got that Rice game covered, right? The guys decided to play football this year.
Well, have money, we'll show up. That's basically what's going on this college football season. I just like the way the Big Ten kind of just said, well, we're not playing, expecting like everyone to follow along, and only like the little bitches like the Pac-12 and the Mountain West are like, well, we're not playing either then. And everyone else is like, you guys don't win anything anyway, so we don't really care. It's like you guys are kind of a non-factor. Davos, when he was like, and they're like, well, don't you think the championship will be tainted or have an asterisk? He's like, absolutely not. It's like,
No, won't. I thought I found this funny when UMass said they weren't playing college football. Then a month ago, they said, we're going to play college football. We'll announce our schedule. They found only one opponent, Georgia Southern, and that was it. So they had a shot at an undefeated season last week, Mitch, and they blew it.
How about the FCS, where it's like they like North Dakota State play the game, and then their next game is in spring. It's like they don't play another game for like 5 months in between. It's like it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, it makes absolutely zero sense.
But what we're gonna have, and this is what we talked about, when we first started the drive-through show, is that we're gonna have betting on FCS football this spring. We're all going to be betting on it, and we're all going to be very excited about it. We're going to learn more about FCS than we ever knew.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of green turf, right? What's that? Blue turf. Well, not green turf. Green turf.
Yeah, red
right?
turf.
Eastern Washington. Red turf.
Yeah, green turf. We got all kinds of turf. We got the teal turf in Coastal. They moved out of FCS. They're in FBS now.
That's right. We got to keep up. Now we got to keep up on that FCS because it looks like we're going to have some springtime football and probably on some of the big networks that will air it. All right, Mitch, you're going to be taking a look at a really monster game here. This is one that I am really looking forward to. I know Shane Mickles up in Minnesota. He's been talking about they're loving Minnesota up there, and they're a home dog against Michigan. Harbaugh is bringing his boys to Michigan. ABC will televise this one, so it's going to set up to be really good. So how do you see this one, Mitch?
Well, Tony, I think spoon fed me this one. I don't pick my own games for the show like the rest of the guys. I get it picked for me, and Tony knows because of our podcast that we did for years. Say that how much the day they hired Harbaugh, and we never really took the foot off the gas when it came to pounding him. And it's just kind of like our Gase pounding and some of the other things that we're always early adapters, and then everyone else kind of figures it out down the road that hey, maybe those guys were right. And I think we've been right about Harbaugh since day one. It's just a matter of how long do they hold on. The Big Ten goes through different phases of coaches, right? You have the superstar coaches, the guys who have risen, to the cream has risen to the top. PJ Fleck, obviously in the discussion there, with what he did with Minnesota last year, the home win against Penn State. And clearly everywhere he's been, the team has gotten better every single year. And that has been the case here at Minnesota as well. You have Coach Day at Ohio State, who this is a place that's had some legends, right? Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer has coached there. I mean, they have had some legends. And this guy might be the hardest nosed coach they've had. This guy is just unbelievable. I mean, most people know I'm not an Ohio State fan, but Coach Day is unbelievable. And then you have James Franklin at Penn State, right? And he won at Vandy. So, I mean, if you can win at Vandy, you're going to win anywhere. Then you have kind of those other coaches that, came over with a lot of fanfare, but really haven't panned out, but they can't let them go because they have the massive contract. So that's Braum, and then you have Herman, right? Those are those guys that fit in that category. Then you have the guys in the Big Ten that at this time we have already figured out with 100% certainty these guys simply cannot coach. And that is Allen from Indiana and Harbaugh at Michigan. These guys will coach you out of a cover. They will coach you out of a win. They will coach you out of contention. And I'll tell you what, they'll coach you out of your alumni support. And once that happens, they will be gone. And Jim Harbaugh, the only way he keeps his job this year is beating Ohio State. And I got news for you. That's not going to happen either. He's not going to win this game. He's not going to win that game. He's not winning anything. Minnesota on the money line in this one. I don't think it's even close. PJ Fleck has came up with some great game plans last year. He didn't have the guns to beat some of the better teams all the way at the end of the season. But what happened is that game plan against Penn State where he played keep away. He milked the clock for like quarters at a time. And this whole thing with Harbaugh, who's going to start at quarterback? Who's going to start at quarterback? I got news for you guys. I'm going to ruin the surprise for you. It's Joe Milton, okay? Everybody knows this. Why can't you just say it? It's like, man, It was kind of like at Alabama, who's going to start, Jalen Hurts or Tua? It was like, come on, who would you start? Joe Milton is Harbaugh's only chance to save his job. But, he's he's athletic. He has all the tools. He has everything. He's simply not good enough. I'm on Minnesota in this game. I'm also on Penn State against Indiana. Anytime you get a chance to bet against Tom Allen and Jim Harbaugh on the same weekend, in games where they're getting way too much credit, you might as well just parlay those up.
All right, Mitch says take the points here with Minnesota. Chris, what say you on this one?
I can't say much more than what's already been said. I mean, you look at, when we were talking about during the COVID break, I mean, we previewed a lot of these early college football lines, and I remember every time that Michigan came up, we always said, okay, we went the other way on the money line. It didn't matter who they were playing. It could have been TSA, it could have been Texas State, it could have been anyone, it could have been an FCS team. We said we're going the other way on the money line because we can't take Jim Harbaugh in any sort of game. And I mean, on top of that, like Mitch said, I mean, you've got Joe Milton starting. He's thrown 10 career pass attempts. He can have all the tools that he wants, but this is a well-coached Minnesota team under PJ Fleck. They're going to have their starting quarterback Tanner Morgan back. Rashad Bateman opted back in to be their number one receiver. And Michigan lost their number one receiver in Nico Collins, who opted out. I'm on Minnesota on the money line as well in this one. I'm going against Jim Harbaugh. I think his pants are going to be on fire in the coming weeks.
Yeah, going to be a tough spot there. We know there's been cold weather this week up there in Minnesota, and of course, actually, we'll definitely change things up there if it continues. Mitch.
Yeah, well, Minnesota, it kind of goes hand in hand with cold weather. I think our winter is warmer than their summer, and it's just, that's kind of what you signed up for in that conference. And, when you're going to have that trip every other year to Minnesota, and you're going to play for the jug, and I think that, in the game, in this one for the Little Brown Jug, it just means that much. And I remember, we remember Jerry Kill, when he won his first jug against Michigan. He was like, 2 years ago I was coaching in front of 3,000 people, and here I am. Who would have ever thought that I'd be standing right here about to pick up this trophy? And it's just humbling. And then you have the opposite, this arrogant do-nothing, who's been handed the keys to a limousine several times throughout his career. We saw him, get Mike Singletary's defense, in San Francisco, where they had drafted top 5 year after year after year. And then you give this guy the chance to have any kind of say in the draft, and you end up with, what's this guy's name from Illinois, the wide receiver? Oh, my, I can't even tell you. Yeah, like AJ something, right? This is how good he was, right? He ended up getting traded for nobody. Hey, we'll give you something. We're good, It was like, that's how good this guy was. I mean, he took that defense to the Super Bowl and lost as a favorite, once again in a game that, any reasonable coach could have got you there. It's not like Michigan doesn't get talent. It's not like he has any excuses whatsoever. Last year when Manny Diaz had taken the Temple job, and Miami had some massive defensive recruits lined up, they left, and some of the biggest names went to Michigan. And that Harbaugh constantly gets guys like that. But he's never won at any place with his own players. He didn't win in San Francisco with his own players, and he hasn't won at Michigan with his own players. And Joe Milton will be the first Harbaugh quarterback that will start at Michigan, if he's somehow named the starter for this. I mean, why can't he say it, I mean, it's, and like I said, it goes back to that whole Tua and Jalen Hurts thing. It's going to be a game. No, we all know. And, back to the earlier conversation about Fitzpatrick and trading him and all that stuff. They're not going to trade him. Tua, he has an injury history. And it's like, this is a team that's contending for the division, They're not going to trade that insurance policy. It's not going to happen. And who knows, we might even see Fitzpatrick on the field again before all is said and done.
Yeah, Mitch, what do you think about of Miami making the move while the team's playing well? Hey, if the team's playing well and you can feel confident they can block for them, that's the time. Why not start them then, right?
Yeah, it's it's there has to be a time. and it's like the time is, the team has been winning, the team has been playing. I don't think it's the worst possible time. I think the worst possible time would have been game 1 at New England. That would have been a horrible time to start him. There never is a good time. There never is a good time. But the idea is that you have the way that it used to be. And Tony can vouch for this, and Alex Martin, Dana, and a couple other guys will vouch for me on this one. Is that when the great quarterbacks used to get drafted, they never played their first year. They never played as rookies, ever. It never happened. Dan Marino did not start the first game of his rookie year. He came in like Tua is, 6th, 7th game of the season, and was like lit the world on fire. And I think that's what they're thinking could possibly happen here. But starting rookies only started, with Peyton Manning, Bernie Kosar era back then, because the contracts became shorter and there was free agency. There used to not be free agency. That free agency is only within the last 20 years. So starting quarterbacks this young, especially guys who would have been juniors in college, is all new. It used to be that the college players stayed 4 years, they redshirted, then they sat on the bench for a year or 2 years. Bob Reese sat on the bench, I remember, in Miami. So a lot of that stuff going on. I just think that too. You got to find out what you have. And, whether it be against the Rams, I got news, and I say this all the time, and people, the YouTube comments and all this other stuff, right? But the truth of the matter is, if you play in a professional sport, you're good. If you play in a professional sport, more than likely, you have been the best player on your team at almost every level that you've ever played at. And, maybe now we see like these football factory schools, have some where, you have a bunch of really good players, but those are few and far between. The Alabamas, the Alabamas, Ohio States, and Miami's and Texas's and Oklahoma's. I wonder what percent of all rosters those players even represent. It's probably 10, 15%. All the rest of them are all these guys that were the best player on their school's team. And, there's no slouches, It's just like on an NBA, Chris Kaman was bad, but imagine what was below him, right?
Yeah, that's right. Benoit Benjamin. I still call him the worst, but we go back.
I think Yinka Dare for me, Yinka Dare, because that assist record.
That's right.
That assist record is he's I don't know. These guys, Benoit was. Yeah, he's definitely in the discussion.
All right, so you're on the drive-thru, joined by Mitch. Mitch, why should everybody know what's happening over at Pig Dogs?
Well, Pig Dogs, we have some of the best handicappers in the world today. We got so many of them, and they're all so good. And you just got to find a guy and kind of stick with them is what I always say. And it's like you can't buy like one pick and say, oh, they lost, they stink. Everybody wins and loses. We're the only handicapping sites in the world that have guys that actually lose games. And it does happen, but the whole idea is you win more than you lose. And that is betting, If you go to websites and they say, we win them all, we do other stuff, well, they don't show you the picks, so it's easy to say that you win them all. But we actually do lose some games, and, we win a lot of games, too, and we have some great cappers. And that's why we have the leaderboard. It shows you who's hot. We have the other breakdowns, of the leaderboards telling you who's hot by which sport. You could look at each capper's page and see exactly, what picks they made. It's 100% documented. There's no way to hide, Yeah, there's nowhere to hide. Yeah, the Instagram guys who say they're 75%, or Twitter guys. I get emails all the time from people who say they want to be cappers on the site. I'm 76-3 in my last 79 plays. It's like, there's no way that is. But anyways, at Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Plays, I'm just proud of the product that we're delivering. You guys can see it for yourself. And, I don't have to sit here and be the pitch man or anything, because I think the product pitches itself. And it's not for everybody. Premium picks are not for everybody. If you're betting $5 a game, or $5 parlays, or $10 parlays, or even $20 parlays, premium picks are not your thing. Premium picks are for people that bet individual games. That is what they're for. It's like I'm looking for just a couple of good plays to bet? What are your best bets? How can I turn profit? The people that are looking to buy 5 premium picks and to go 5-0, it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to even think that would happen. But it does happen. But I'm saying to go 3-2 or 4-1 on 5. Believe me, you can go 3-2, 4-1 every day and live a pretty good life. I'm living proof of it. I go 1-4 some days, and Tony remembers. I mean, we've been doing this show since I lived in a little 600 square foot apartment in Chicago. It's a long way from Maui. A long way from Maui.
Sure has. All right.
I also on the other side of things, money. I can't stress the importance of money management. I get a lot of questions about money management, and I would say on our morning show and on this show, I would love to hear Alex Smart and some of the other cappers, Brian Bittler, Alex Smart, some of the real veterans out there. Dana, Joe, talk about money management, a little bit more. And I think that's one more thing that we could help people with, because I think that, I see these tickets in the Facebook group and people throw in this minus 3,200 favorite in there. And it's like, to see something like that that pays pennies on your parlay, cost you the whole bet. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The way that I got to Maui, and Tony will attest to this, and the reason why I have all these viewers and all these followers and all these haters and everything, why people can find me, is because I'm not afraid to say, hey man, San Jose State plus the 7 against Air Force, that looks pretty weird. That line hasn't budged. Air Force won 40-7 against Navy. Man, it's like it's the last game of the night. It's like, isn't it a little obvious? Air Force. I don't know. That's like, I don't think Vegas gives away money that easily.
No, they don't. They certainly don't. All right, Mitch, it's always great having your show. We'll be listening to that morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll talk with you next week.
Thanks for having me. I think you guys are knocking it out of the park on this show. That's why I don't show up too much. I try not to hang around even on my day, and I know that once you give me the mic, you're done. But it's, it's, you guys are just killing it, man. I'm just really excited. I've seen Chris grow from, his first show when he lost every pick that he gave out, to now. And it's, the evolution has been made. Tony's always been a pro, so I don't have to worry about it. I always wanted Tony with Rod and Chris when I first started to be kind of the guy, to help those guys along, because Tony's preparation for the show is spot on, man. Like, I'm a winger, I wing it. That's how we end up talking about chicken nuggets for 45 minutes. It's like, there's no games, but I can name all 16 dipping sauces at Chick-fil-A.
Thanks, Mitch, a lot. We'll have a great night, and we'll talk with you. We'll watch you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys, and thanks everyone that watches our shows and supports us in every way that you do. Members of our Facebook group, people that hit the like button, any which way. We appreciate every single one of you guys, except for the trolls.
Absolutely. All right. We do too as well. Thanks, Mitch. Have a good night. Our buddy Mitch here on the drive-thru. All right, Chris, we got a game here to look at, Panthers and Saints. And this is one that was almost my pick for today. Very close. Okay, very close to being my pick. New Orleans favorite 7.5. Total sits here at 51. And, I got to say, if you just protect, if you can protect Bridgewater, he can be very effective. Of course, they faced the Bears last week, and it was a rough time of it. But we've seen teams like the Saints, fail to cover their pass to at home. They had a 3-point overtime win to the Chargers. You look at their defense, past 4 games, give them 32 points a game, and here they're laying 7.5 against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, this was a game that I won't lie to you, I've struggled with throughout the course of the week, and it's because it's a division game. You still expect the Saints to sort of step up and be the division stalwart like they have been for much of the season. They've been the gatekeeper of the NFC South. It's just for whatever reason, without Michael Thomas in the lineup, whether he's injured or whether he's holding out for whatever reason, I don't know. But it just something feels different about this Saints team, and the defense hasn't stepped up like it did last year. And Tony, I think you hit the nail on the head. If they can protect Bridgewater, this could be a scary, scary team in years to come for the Carolina Panthers. I think Matt Rule's done a solid job in his first few games already, exceeding some expectations for the Panthers early on. I think the Panthers have a good chance in this game. They could even win this game outright. I might put a little bit on the money line, but I'm definitely on Carolina with the free touchdown plus the hook right now.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I'm with you there. I said it almost became a pick on the show because that's how much I liked the Carolina Panthers in that one. All right, now it's time for my free pick. We're going to take a look here at this Utah State and Boise State game. And I'm going to go ahead and take the points with Utah State. You know, Aggies are an experienced team on the offense side of the football. They returned their entire offensive line. They've been a bowl team the past 3 seasons. Aggies, well, they line up with a lot of seniors in their front seven on defense. One thing with Boise State, Hank Bachmeier, 9 touchdowns, but 6 picks. They had some issues at quarterback last year. They're an inexperienced team, losing half of their starters. Only 1 returns on the offensive and defensive lines. You know, Aggies with the offensive line back should generate just enough points to cover here at 16.5. It's a lot. I'm going to go ahead and take the points in this one. Utah State plus 16.5. Chris, what say you in this one?
Oh boy, this is definitely this is a game that I'm glad it's on late because I might just use this as my excuse to kind of go to sleep, so I don't have to try to figure this one out. But I'm a little bit hesitant with Utah State with a freshman quarterback on the blue turf. On the other hand, Tony, like you said, Boise State, you know, filling in a lot of gaps on the fly. Man, you always give me the hard ones to try to figure out. If I'm going to try to agree with you on one or not. Let's see here. What's the total in this one?
The total in this one, let me pull it up here. Let's
52.5.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, man. Good Lord. I'm going to side with the under here. I think it's going to be a lower. I'm going to side with the under. I think it's a lower scoring game.
Yeah,
I think
down. It has come down from an opener of 57.5 down to 52 and 52.5 in some places.
Yeah, I think that's trending in the right direction for me. I'm going to side with the under as well. I just that number seems pretty close to dead on for me, and I think it's going to finish somewhere in the area of 14 to 16 points, I think, or 14 to 17. So the under is going to be my play for that one.
All right, here we are on the drive-thru, guys. Now, as we approach the bottom of the hour, and it's time we're going to get a cook-off here from college football. We did have our man M. Davis want to know what we thought about this college football game. Well, we got it here on our pick recap. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. All right, we started off here. We got El Ninos will join us here on this segment. Alex Smart began with the Cowboys at Pick'em against the Washington football team. Shane, we looked at Fight Island here, UFC 246. Co-main event, Robert Whitaker, minus 110 odds against Jared Cannonier. Al Ninos, he gave us a World Series Game 3 play. First 5 innings go under 4 runs. That's minus 120. Chris, Maryland, plus the 11 against Northwestern. Rod was on the Falcons, minus 2 against the Lions. Damon Sosh, BYU, minus 20.5 against Texas State. And, of course, Mitch, Minnesota Golden Gophers, plus 3. Even liked them on the money line against Michigan. Yours truly was taking all the points here with Utah State plus 16.5 against the Boise State. And we'll start here with Chris. Other than your pick, I think I can probably ask this question today. Other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
Oh no, you can definitely ask this because this is going to be hands down for me. I'm with Mitch on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I am anti Jim Harbaugh, and that's not going to change. I'm with it on the plus 3. I'm with it on the money line. I'm with it on maybe even the reverse, the alternate point spread at minus 3. I'm all over the Minnesota Golden Gophers here.
All right, Ninos. Other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
There's quite a few good ones here, but I will go with the Cowboys, I guess. Yeah, I think they should bounce back and take care of Washington.
Yeah, I'm with you there with the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys have fallen to that depth of the Washington football team just yet. And maybe a little bit more Ezekiel on the running the football a little bit, help the quarterback out a little bit. It's a dynamic offense over there in Dallas, so maybe that would be the right play. Hey, guys, I'd like to thank everyone out there in the chat community for your input. And, of course, we've been sharing all those chat messages on the show. Continue that, and we appreciate it. And, of course, tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, for another edition of the drive-thru. A lot of college football, 3 games on the schedule. We also have World Series game number 3, and of course a lot of football coverage. We'll have our Goran on, and we'll take a look at with Chris into some weekend Premier League action as well. So be sure to tune in to the drive-thru tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and don't forget you'll find Chris, Mitch, and company over on the drive-through morning show, I should say, the morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, let's go ahead and bring on all the pick dogs on the screen and give a nice wave goodbye. And, of course, upper right-hand corner is Rod Zawacki's birdcage play, so be sure you keep an eye on it there. That's his play for tonight. I'm Tony T for Chris Ruffalo. Have a good night. We'll see you guys tomorrow